game. I'm not the judge. I didn't take it away from him.
No, I know.
I don't think I should have gotten it because I only got half the question right, but thank you for being on my team.
Yes, yeah, okay. You're welcome.
Thanks a lot for calling, Shannon. We really appreciate the call.
All righty, bye-bye.
Don't call us, we'll call you.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Great win, Carol, right?
Yep.
I almost said Matt. I know I didn't win. I know that much.
Yeah, I was down 2 points from last week.
Oh, man.
Oh, well, there's always next week.
All right, so tomorrow's a big day, Robbio Day here on the show as we
celebrate.
Yeah, we celebrate the last few days that he's a single man.
Well, not single.
Well, you know what I mean. A not married man. Say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
You get a couple more days before you get the tax break.
A bachelor.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right, who knows what's going to happen. All right, I guess that's going to do it for us. Steve Light, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
Maddie, we'll see you tomorrow.
That you will.
I want to thank Carol Robidoux, Bill Cini. Keep it right here. You got Matt Connerton Unleashed coming up at 4 o'clock. What is today, Wednesday? Then you have, Granite State of Mind still taking a break. So then you're going to have Off the Mark Sports with the wonderful Kyle Heavey. And that's all this afternoon right here on WMNH. Have a great day, everybody.
As long as you have your health, be thankful for it and keep away from all these drugs and stuff that the kids are pushing today.
This hour on WMNH is sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 5 Dartmouth Drive in Auburn. They serve all your business needs, including employee benefits planning, corporate design and business administration, investments and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. Their phone number is 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry, located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at queencitycabinetrynh.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Come on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, 3 dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Clemento's Pizzeria, family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria. For delivery, call 603-782-8450. Clemento's Pizzeria, the best pizza in town. 1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire. Best cocktails around. Come in as friends and leave as family.
You are listening to WMNH-LP, Manchester's radio, broadcasting at 95.3 megahertz frequency modulation from the top of 1000 Elm Street. Our studios are located at 1045 Elm Street and licensed to Manchester Public Television Service in Manchester, New Hampshire, USA.
welcome. It's that time again. Matt Connerton Unleashed. Now, I have to stop myself because normally I open the show. By the way, that opening track was Savages by Downhill Rollers. We had the gentleman from Downhill Rollers on the show months ago, and I still love that song. And by the way, I think that's an appropriate song for what Eric Pilcher and I are going to be discussing in a little bit when he calls in. You'll understand. But Savages, I love that song. If you're looking for it, it's on Spotify. It's everywhere. Savages by Downhill Rollers. That's the name of the band. It's really just one guy. He does everything. It's great. But so this is where I do the intro for the show. But I'm stopping myself because, my friends, for the first time ever in the history of the program, we have an intro generated by ChatGPT for me to read. Now, this was provided by our friend Nick Murdoch, who I think of Nick as, because he does help me out. I think of him as sort of like a remote producer of the show. He helps us with a lot of this stuff, and I think it's wonderful. And he reminds me of things. And so he put this in the Facebook live chat. So let's see, and we'll see. Maybe we'll vote on it. People can weigh in if they think that the ChatGPT generated intro, and it's not, there's no sound to it. It's not audio. It's a script that I will read for you. We'll see how that matches up to what I normally say at the beginning of the show. So let's see how this flows. So this is the intro generated by ChatGPT. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Matt Connerton Unleashed, brought to you by The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza, Clemento's Pizzeria, and Queen City Cabinetry. This radio show is all about unleashing the most controversial and thought-provoking discussions on air. Listeners can interact with the show in a variety of ways, whether it's by texting us at 617-917-4476, tweeting at Matt Connerton, or sharing their opinions on our Facebook live chat. And if you want to hear your dulcet tones on the show, it's best to call us at 603-250-6007. I had to stop and alter that in real time because the wrong ChatGPT put a different phone number. So it's not perfect. But so I'll repeat that sentence again, but with the correct phone number. And if you want to hear your dulcet tones on the show, it's best to call us at 603-250-6007. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be unleashed with Matt Connerton. Oh, I love it. I love that ChatGPT. Oh, Nick. Well, now this is another thing that's great about Nick and his production duties as an unofficial remote de facto producer. He takes responsibility for his mistakes, and I like that. Not everyone does that. Nick said in the chat room, "Oops, wrong number. I am so sorry. I told that number to ChatGPT." So we can't blame ChatGPT. That was a human error. But operator error on that. That's a good pun, operator, because we're talking about a phone number. Get it? I didn't even intend that. It just flows out of me. That's why I'm in afternoon drive. Anyway. But that's okay, Nick. You're forgiven for the error, and thank you for that. So that is a ChatGPT generated script that I can read at the beginning of the show. It's not drastically different from what I say regardless. Also too might be a little misleading. So, in terms of sponsors, so obviously anyone who becomes a sponsor here of any of the shows at WMNH, you become not only a sponsor of that show, but also a sponsor of the station. The Hop Knot, for example, came in under, for sponsorship, came in under this show, Matt Connerton Unleashed. I believe both Clemento's and Queen City Cabinetry technically are sponsors of the morning show, but by sponsoring the morning show, they also sponsor WMNH. So I mentioned them on this show as well. You know, obviously it doesn't matter to me what show they came in to the station under. They are sponsors of, they're part of this family. They're sponsors of WMNH. So, but the way ChatGPT worded it, it almost sounded like, they're sponsors specifically of my show, which they are not. Only the Hop Knot is a sponsor of this show specifically, and of course WMNH 95.3. But overall though, I think it's great. This Chat GPT. Now, I will tell you just a quick side note. So I was listening to Howard Stern one day, and they had put in they had a chat complete with audio, a Chat GPT generated intro, to see what AI would come up with for like a first, not an intro, but the first the opening, the first few minutes after the theme music plays of what of the dialogue between Howard and Robin. They had an AI generated version of that. It was only a few minutes long, but it was pretty funny. But it was funny to hear it because it was like, Howard saying to Robin, how are you this morning? And Robin saying, I'm fine. How are you, Howard? That kind of thing. So, but our friend Eric Pilcher is on the line. Hello, sir.
Hello, Matt. Nice to see you have survived Media Armageddon.
Well, who knows? It could still be in progress.
Yeah, right. Do I still have a classic film review this Friday? Seems all the big names are getting canned.
Well, here's the thing, and this is a little inside, but I was going to talk to you about this off air, but the comedy special that you and I did together when I flew down to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and you were recording that comedy
I thought
special.
That was for Unsheathed.
And I performed at that as well. Well, here's what I need you to do. If you don't mind, I need you to edit out all of your part in that and just leave me in it. And I know technically the special is supposed to be called An Evening of Comedy with Eric Pilcher, but I own you, and I demand you edit it. Again, that was very inside. That's a reference to Steven Crowder versus Dave Landau.
You do control me, Nat. And
yes.
I suppose I can do that.
I hope you watched that whole interview. Otherwise, you wouldn't even get the joke. Did you watch that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. All right. It's exactly what I'm saying, and I'm worried. I'm like, wait a minute. Has he even watched the Michael Malice interview with Dave Landau? Because if not, this is all going to be lost on Eric.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, so just where do you want to start here? I mean, two of the most insufferable toe rags in news media no longer have jobs.
Oh, Steven Crowder and Candace Owens are both out already? Oh, I'm sorry.
No. I'm talking about Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson.
That is true. Hey, by the way, before we proceed, I want to Pete Trouble Morse is in the Facebook live chat, and I want to give him a special shout out. He said in the chat, "Great to see you earlier, Matt. I happened to run in to that fine gentleman right across the street, actually, at the Brady Sullivan in front of the Hop Knot. So." And it was great to see him. I'm glad he said something because I wouldn't have known it was him. We were both wearing sunglasses, and I think I've only met him in person once. It was at an event at the Hop Knot, actually. But it was nice to see you, sir. Yes, nice to see you. And and by the way, too, Eric, before we go any further, because this is for you specifically, Scott Robinson in the chat room says, I would love for Eric to do a review of the movie Affliction with Nick Nolte. It's a great movie, which I'm not familiar with. I've never seen it.
I've never even heard of that. Scott, I will certainly look into it.
Yes.
In my head, I have summer mapped out.
Yes.
Already, so.
Yes.
Just because, kind of want to do like blockbuster films for the most part.
Yes.
Because that's what summer's all about, is blockbuster movies.
Indeed.
And I will let one cat out of the bag if you will indulge me.
Oh, of course.
Last review of June will be Raiders of the Lost Ark to commemorate the release of Indiana Jones 5.
I remember watching that with my dad.
Oh, I love Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Mm-hmm.
But I also liked Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the fourth one. So.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And also, by the way, Melanie is asking about her recommendation.
No.
She made a recommendation today on the Facebook for a
She
film that you
did,
should review.
and I love Melanie La Liberty. I
Yes.
love the great state of Vermont.
Yes.
I love her husband, J-Fed.
Uh-huh.
But I'm not reviewing that movie.
Would you get in an ice bath with J-Fed?
No. Due to theological beliefs, some people might frown upon that.
I understand. Well, it's just an ice bath. As Freud, I believe, said, sometimes an ice bath is just an ice bath. Oh, one other thing. Speaking of Freud, because when I think of Freud, I think of my dad, because my dad likes to quote Freud. My dad was a guest last night on Patriot Confederation with Billy Painter and John Grosvenor. And that is up and available if you want to see it. It's funny. They stream it live on YouTube, but then they take it off of, but then they don't leave it on YouTube. They post it on Rumble, which makes complete sense because YouTube would strike it if they left it on YouTube. So it's up on Rumble. So if you want to see it, don't go there right now, obviously. Please wait until later after the show. But if you go to rumble.com and just do a search for The Bearded Patriots, the Bearded Patriots channel on Rumble, and you'll see my dad was on last night's episode of Patriot Confederation. He shows up about halfway in between, halfway into the show. So it's a 1 hour show. My dad shows up at about the 30-minute mark, and you can hear his discussion with them. So there you go.
I always enjoy being on Outlaw Radio whenever I'm asked and whenever I'm able to.
Yes.
It's a great time.
Yes.
So I enjoy discussions with Billy.
By the way, Nick Murdoch says, I would take an ice bath with every one of Maddie's listeners at the same time even. I don't even care. I love all of you. That's very nice. That would have to be
thanks, Nick.
That'd have to
love you too.
Have to be a big ice bath, I would think, though, to fit us all in it.
Yeah. Is he talking just regular listeners, or I feel there has to be like an addendum.
Yeah, I mean that's broad. Well, he did say all, and I like to imagine just Eric. I like to imagine just millions of people around the globe just tuning in right now, hearing us.
Well, I know one person that would crush that dream for you.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
I mean, yeah, he's a deranged, moronic individual from the trash heap of Jersey. So, yeah.
Oh, that could be a couple people, but I think I know who you mean. Charles Richardson passes on the ice path. He needs bubbles and more temperature. I understand. Yes. Now, so
can you even have a bath bomb in an ice bath?
Can you have what in an ice bath?
Can you have a bath bomb? I thought the water had to be hot for a bath bomb.
A bath bomb?
Yeah, if Charles wants bubbles, that's the best way to do it.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, well, he needs he needs bubbles and room temperature, so it would have to be warmer. Like
then
that.
It would not be an ice bath.
Right, exactly. I think that's his way of politely saying he'll pass. I understand, Charles. I understand. Hey, by the way, too, just quickly, and then we will get into our discussion. But coming up at 5 p.m. today, 5 p.m. Eastern, here on the show, we're going to be joined by Becoming Human. That's our musical guest today, all the way from Texas. We're going to play at the top of the hour. We're going to play Scars, their recent single. And then after our conversation, we will be talking with, after we talk with Becoming Human, we're going to play the new single. What was the, boy, I forgot I'm so bad. I forgot the title. Oh, so much for my millions of listeners. They all just shut me off.
No.
Wait. Oh, no. Here it is. I'm sorry, I'm confused. Our World. I wanted to say it was called One World, but it's actually called Our World. So I'm glad I checked. Yeah, there you go. So that'll be coming up today in the second hour. But Eric, yes. So Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon, of course, both out and we still don't know official reasons.
Well, I mean, Fox just settled a multi-million-dollar defamation lawsuit that Tucker was a major part of and a major reason for.
Yes.
And then, I mean, Don Lemon, do we really need to go down the list of reasons CNN had here?
Well, now I'm curious to explore that with you. You said something to me in Messenger. We were talking about how you it was something about how, you know, people were talking about like Tucker was the worst of the two, and you kind of saw them both as equally bad. And and you made an interesting point about that, and I want you to repeat it here. But because I said, well, I don't really see it the same, and I don't think they're equally bad because I took your point was interesting, so I do want to get to that in a moment, but I'll just make my argument briefly. With Tucker Carlson, we have someone who helped to really put, I would say, directly contributing to January 6th, Tucker Carlson did, by being the top spokesperson on Fox for, what is commonly referred to as the big lie. That the election was stolen, and he helped to fuel all of that and continued to fuel that after January 6th and so forth. So I think Tucker Carlson has done direct damage to the country in a way that Don Lemon never could. That would be my argument. So I would put Tucker Carlson as truly contemptible. I'll be honest with you. Don Lemon to me was always I never really had strong feelings about the guy one way or another. But I know that there are some stories about him behind the scenes that sound pretty unfortunate, shall we say? But anyway, so that would be my argument. But tell us your thoughts, please.
What I said, and I still believe this, is Don Lemon was on a leash. Tucker was not.
Uh-huh.
If Don Lemon was given the leeway Tucker Carlson was given, he would have been the left version of Tucker Carlson.
So
if they would have left him on prime time, and
Yeah.
if they would have just let him go.
Now that is an interesting point, because you're right about, obviously on Fox, they let Tucker do whatever he wanted, no matter how uncomfortable executives there might have been with it. They let him even after they settled that lawsuit with Dominion. Tucker Carlson went on the air. I don't know if you saw this clip. He went on the air and continued to poke the bear with comments. Unbelievable. And that is true.
Oh, yeah. No regard.
Yeah.
No regard.
Yeah. And I think that might have had something to do with his firing. Don Lemon. Go ahead, Eric.
I think with Tucker, it's okay. We just settled a multi-million-dollar lawsuit because of you,
right?
And you are doing the same things over and over and over again.
Yeah.
When do we say enough?
Yeah. Right.
You have your primary base. The leader of your primary base, Mitch McConnell, standing at the Capitol, outside the Capitol, to the media, basically saying, I don't like Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's bad. Those are very bad optics if you're Fox News. And I think that had a lot to do with it, and no one is talking about Mitch McConnell's rebuke of Tucker after he aired the January 6th faux video.
Sure. Yeah.
And people need to understand Fox News, unlike MSNBC and unlike CNN, they know their base. They embrace their base.
Mm-hmm.
And when Mitch McConnell came out and said that, in my head, I was like, this ain't good for Tucker. This is not good for Tucker.
See, I have a bit of
We're approaching primary season.
Yeah.
Closer than people think. 2024 elections. Mitch McConnell has a lot of pull. And when Mitch McConnell, and Matt, you know more about politics than I do, and I hope you agree. When Mitch McConnell says something, the Republicans listen. And there had to be some apprehension by some big-name Republicans, like, do I upset the base? And do I dare talk with this guy?
Mm-hmm.
I think that had a lot to do with it.
So I partially agree in the sense that obviously Mitch McConnell is extraordinarily powerful. He is, the minority leader in the Senate. But I disagree with you that had anything to do with it. I don't think Fox cares what Mitch McConnell thinks. I think they care what the audience thinks. And I don't think, my theory is, so first of all, they just settled the lawsuit with Dominion. Now Smartmatic is next. And so Tucker may have been a sacrificial lamb. Also, Abby Grossberg, apparently this might be the be all end all of it. Abby Grossberg, former producer, we don't know yet what she has to say in court, but she is suing. And there may have been anti-Semitic comments, and I have some new things that I found today about what she is saying.
Oh, I have not heard about anything new on the Grossman front.
Yeah, is it Grossman or Grossberg? I believe it's Grossberg, but I keep hearing people.
Grossberg, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I know that was something, and I love the way you frame that because I know that's something down the road.
Yeah,
that people are like if you read articles from like Reuters and BBC News, that's at the end of the article.
Right. So
it's something definitely worth considering that, okay, we've settled 2 lawsuits. There's 2 more. And if it comes out that Tucker did say anti-Semitic statements, which I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying he didn't.
Right.
I'm going to lean on the side that 53-48 that he did. 53-47 that he did.
Right. Yeah.
He just seems like that swarmy type of guy that would think that because he generates ratings for the network, he can say whatever he wants.
Well, that's the thing, and whatever it is, clearly it has them very, very worried because he not only the number one host on Fox, the number one host in all of cable news, which is probably why he thought he could get away with, for example, sort of poking the bear after the lawsuit was settled with Dominion. So whatever it is, it's bad, and they needed to offload him quickly. Now you're
something I just
go ahead.
Something I just thought of too.
Yeah.
You look at who the preemptive nominee is going to be for the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
He loves Tucker.
Does
Tucker's
he?
his boy.
Oh, but that's a complex relationship there, because he loves Tucker in the sense that Tucker publicly says many glowing things about him. But remember, one of the things that we learned from those text messages that came out in Discovery, and I've not heard Tucker explain this, and probably because there is no explanation he can offer. Privately, Tucker was texting about how much he hates Trump, and he couldn't wait for Trump to go away. What did he say in one text message? I think he says, "I hate him passionately." And I saw an interview with I forget who it was who was interviewing him. Somebody was interviewing Trump and asking Trump about Tucker's firing, and
he was pretty abrasive on it. Not abrasive, touch short.
Well, the thing is, so he's asked about it, and Trump is answering, and he's saying things like, yeah, that it's too bad, but he's got this little bit of a smirk on his face. It was one of those instances where what Trump was saying did not match his expression. The smirk was very subtle, but Trump has a very expressive face, and so for those of us who see him for what he is, he's not getting one over on us, right? So he's got this little subtle, but it's there. He's got this smirk because, how awkward must have it been for Trump and Tucker sitting down recently for that interview where Tucker was interviewing Trump, and obviously Trump knows all the terrible things Tucker said about him. But I think with Trump, it's all about what you say publicly, ultimately, right? So a complex relationship.
He doesn't care what you say about him privately, as long as you give him the adulation he feels he deserves publicly.
Yes. But to kind of circle back to your point about Don Lemon, so it is true. Don Lemon, they had restraints on him because he was demoted, and they tried to spin it as not a demotion at the time, but it is a demotion when you're in prime time, and then you're moved to mornings. And in your prime time spot, you were the host, and now you're sharing your morning time slot with two other hosts because, obviously in television, prime time is, 8 to 11 p.m. at night, and mornings, the mornings are kind of, second to that. It's the opposite of like in radio, it's the opposite, right? In radio, morning drive is prime time, and then afternoon drive is second, and so on. So, but for him, so obviously that was a demotion. So, but I guess I don't agree with you about them being just as bad for a couple reasons. So one, Eric, I would just say, yeah, you can say if Don Lemon didn't have restraints on him, he would have just been the left's version of Tucker Carlson full bore. But that's a hypothetical. You can't prove it. And the other
that's fair.
And the other thing I would say is I don't know what exactly Don Lemon, even if he had become sort of the extreme left version of Tucker Carlson, I don't know what he, even in that scenario, I don't know what he would have done that would have been as damaging as what Tucker Carlson did. Like I see anyone who directly contributed to the big lie and directly contributed to what happened January 6th, which I use the term insurrection. I think it's an appropriate term to use. I don't know what Don Lemon would have ever done that would have possibly matched that in terms of damage to the country. You know what I'm saying?
And that's fair. I let me just preface this by saying I try not to be biased.
Yeah.
I am not a Don Lemon fan. I do not like him.
Yeah.
I think when you use your position as a journalist, and I've said this so many times on your show, the responsibility of all of us, you're a journalist, I'm a journalist, even the jealous one in his own deranged way is a journalist. The freedom of the press, the amendment that calls for freedom of the press, calls us watchdogs for the public. It doesn't say watchdogs for the Republican public. It doesn't say watchdogs for the LGBTQI public. It doesn't say, there's no addendum to that. And when you use your power, in like Tucker did, and like Don Lemon did in the Jussie Smollett case, Smollett, whatever his name is,
Smollett,
case,
I think, yeah,
was told something off the record, and then told someone under an investigation for multiple felonies that he was a suspect.
Yeah.
And he should lawyer up That is reprehensible to me. And you're right. It's nowhere near what Tucker did. What Tucker did with that video, for me, was the last straw.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
To sit there and paint this idea that January 6th, oh, it wasn't as bad as we thought. Look at this. He's just walking in.
I know.
No.
Yeah. People fall for that, though.
I say I've actually stolen your line many times to debate people on this.
Yeah.
They brought damn gallows.
Yeah.
You don't bring gallows with you somewhere just for show.
Well, the thing that I like to say too, and for anyone who's unclear, what Eric is referring to is, Kevin McCarthy gave Tucker Carlson the video surveillance footage of January 6th, and then Tucker does a segment showing peaceful moments from that and saying, see, no big deal. The media has been lying to you. See, it really was just a tourist event. See, and what I like to say is it would be like if somebody committed an armed robbery at a convenience store, and then the defense attorney for the assailant gets up in court and says, "Well, listen, the prosecution, they showed you the minute of surveillance camera footage that day of my suspect committing that armed robbery. But what are they hiding from you? They didn't show you the other 23 hours and 59 minutes of my client not committing that armed robbery. Aha! Yeah, they're hiding that from you, aren't they? I'm going to show you that and prove that my client is not guilty." It would be the equivalent of that, but
Yeah, and so let's not act like that Don Lemon, and I'm not accusing you of this, Matt. I'm speaking in generalities.
Yeah.
Let's not act like that Don Lemon was someone that was just caught off guard and was told, there were warning signs that, hey, this needs to stop. Me personally, I think the decision was made when the stuff with when the whole thing, the Nikki Haley controversy happened.
Yes.
I think the decision was made then.
Actually, Melanie in the chat room just referred to that with a great comment. She said, "I just hope they didn't pair Don Lemon with any women past age 30. They are just past their prime. He can't be expected to work under those conditions."
I actually, that's a very fair point by Melanie. I honestly think that the two women he was paired with are over the age of 30.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, but in Don Lemon's defense, he did Google it. So,
yeah. You know what? You're right. He's totally forgiven now.
That was a very, very bizarre moment. That was a guy. When he made those comments about Nikki Haley being past her prime, that was a guy pushing the self-destruct button. Right in front of that was on his desk, right in front of him. He says, "I'm just going to go ahead and push this button."
Multiple times.
It's bizarre,
and it gets more and more cringe every time you watch it. I don't know if there's any Office fans in the audience. I'm sure there is.
Yeah,
it's like my favorite episode of The Office, Date Night. It is one of the most cringe-inducing episodes of comedy television you will see.
Yes, I remember it.
You keep watching it. Because you're like, what is going to happen next?
Yeah.
And the worst defense you can give is, I'm just telling you what the computer says.
Yeah. There was such a strange moment because it was one of those things where, even if he's thinking this, how does he not know not to say this out loud? It was just bizarre. And it was, it was just strange. It was like, is he trying to get fired? Why would you say something like that?
Let's go back to that point. You would have to think someone as successful as Don Lemon was has a buyout.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. He's fine.
At some point, did he just say, you know what? Forget it. I'm going all in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm going all in. They're going to get rid of me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it worth it.
Yeah.
It's going to be worth my time, and I'm going to get paid. And before we dismiss it, I really want some thought to be given to that, because he was obviously unhappy when they kicked him off primetime. And my point about him becoming the left version of Tucker is it really alludes to his time that he had while he was still on primetime.
Mm-hmm.
He was really, he was pushing a narrative that he wanted to push.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, he'd be, because you know what it was, Eric. I think that during the Trump administration, they like CNN primetime just became like MSNBC. Whereas I feel like prior to that, Don Lemon had always been just a more of a straight news anchor. But then it was like both he and Chris Cuomo, who was still there at the time, through most of the Trump administration, they just kind of became MSNBC light. Oh, by the way, I just want to say, so Melanie said in the chat room, why are you trying to rationalize a blatant sexist comment? No, I don't think anyone's trying to rationalize that, Melanie.
No.
I mean, and I don't know if that was directed at Eric or me or both of us, but I mean, I was just saying, why would you, even if you have a thought like that, why would you say it out loud knowing it's going to wreck your career? But no,
I would never rationalize what Don Lemon said.
Oh yeah, no, his comment was
disgusting.
Yeah, it was blatantly sexist. Absolutely.
It's my point is, he had an ulterior motive in doing it. He didn't just say that. He knew. I think he was honestly, when he did it, he was like, you know what, I'm just going to say whatever I want. And if they fire me, they fire me.
Yeah.
What he didn't plan for, what he didn't plan for, and this, and I honestly believe this, is CNN to kick him off the air for 3 days to a broadcaster.
Right. I forgot about that.
That is more humiliating than being fired.
I'd forgotten about that, yeah.
You're off air. Your program is still going on.
Yep.
And
that's true.
The world is still moving, but it's moving without you.
That's a good point. Yeah, that train keeps a rolling whether you're on it or not. Yeah.
Yup. And I honestly think during those 3 days, executives saw some things, and this is just me speculating. I have no inside knowledge. I don't know. I have none of that.
Yeah.
But what they did is they're like, the train rolls smoother right now.
Yeah.
What's going on? It's like when the bad employee is on a vacation, and then the company finally realizes. It's like the light bulb went off.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, well, let's see if he comes back. He gets on board with what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
And I think he came back, and he just... I think he came back, and he just kept doing what he was supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Well, if some of the stories that we hear about him being unpleasant to work with are true, then it was probably nice not having him there for a few days, and then he came back and it wasn't so nice, and that might have been. By the way, I want to ask you too about that, because the prevailing theory that I see online, Eric, is that this had to do with the very. I wouldn't even consider it an argument, but the very spirited discussion that he had with Vivek. How do you say his last name? Is it Ramaswamy? I heard my dad say it on Billy's and John Grosvenor's show flawlessly, but I struggle with his last name. But you know who I'm talking about. You've seen the segment, right? His
yes.
So
your dad mentioned it to me on one of my posts.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah. I don't think that segment had anything to do with it. I think because that seems to be the prevailing theory, but I think that's wrong. I don't think that segment was. I don't think they fired him for that. I mean, to me, it was just.
I think that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back.
You really think so?
I do, because we got to look at optics here. He essentially, to me, he was borderline questioning someone's blackness. And when you wrote a book about fighting the fire of racism, a book that bombed, by the way, it did awful.
Oh, I literally forgot about his book. So yeah, I understand. It bombed. Yeah, I forgot the book even existed. I forgot he wrote it.
Yeah. When the book failed as miserably as his did.
Yeah.
I'm actually on my way to a Barnes & Noble right now. I don't even think they probably carry it in store, because why take up the shelf space?
Right.
And keep in mind, they do carry books by David Duke. Let's put perspective here.
Yeah.
They will carry books written by David Duke, but Don Lemon's book is a no-go.
Wow.
Yeah,
well,
think about that.
Well, but in fairness, it's not like
you can't write the
for
things he says and the things he has promoted and act like that.
I don't know.
And I think CNN at that point I think if nothing else would have happened, even if the Nikki Haley thing wouldn't have happened and he did that, they probably would have been like, Don, this is it. But the behind the scenes stuff of that is they had politicians saying, we're not coming on the morning show anymore after that.
Oh, is that true? See, I didn't know that. I didn't catch that. Is that?
Yes.
Oh, really?
There were politicians that were saying, we're not. No.
Oh,
we're out.
That's interesting, because if that's true, because cable news, well, and corporate media in general, big media, is all about access, and that's I'm sure you don't. Obviously, you're not a fan of his politics. I don't know how you feel about him beyond that, but Cenk Uygur, I don't know if you've ever heard his story about when he left MSNBC after not being there for very long, because Phil Griffin, who I think might still be in charge there at MSNBC, he was at the time, he told Cenk, you're attacking Democrats too much. You need to only attack Republicans, because you're attacking Democrats. We're starting to hear from some people in Washington that aren't happy with you. And Cenk is going, what do you mean? This is why shouldn't I attack anybody who I think is doing something wrong on my show? And Phil Griffin told him, because now they're not wanting to come on. They're not wanting to come on MSNBC because you're attacking Democrats. You're affecting our access. And that's the thing. It's all about access.
It's all about access, and it's all about optics.
Mm-hmm.
And, Don Lemon really, if that is the case, again, we go back to the point I made when I first called in.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming up to primary season. We're coming up to 2024 elections. If there's politicians that aren't going to want to come on air, these nominees or these candidates seeking a nominee are going to want endorsements. And the worst way to get those endorsements is to do something that the people you want the endorsement from doesn't like.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think CNN made this move towards the future.
Yeah.
They were just like, okay, well, we really, really have to consider what is happening here. And so I think there was a lot of things If Don Lemon wants to blame someone for him being fired from CNN, Don Lemon should look in the mirror because it's all Don Lemon. Same with Tucker Carlson. Yes, it was shocking to see both of them let go.
Yeah.
But were you really just like, man, for no reason whatsoever?
Actually, as you were talking too, it occurs to me, it was probably a lot easier for CNN to get rid of Don Lemon than for Fox to get rid of Tucker, just from a business standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
Because Tucker Carlson, like we were saying, the biggest name in all of cable news in terms of ratings, whereas Don Lemon, was he still worth that big contract that he had at this point? They took him off primetime. They put him on the morning show. I don't know what their ratings were like,
when
but
they took him off primetime, my understanding is that the deal was completely renegotiated.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
That the deal was heavily amended.
Oh,
and
okay.
the ratings were awful for CNN's morning show.
Well, that's the thing. If the ratings are bad, then he's not worth anything. So so from a business standpoint, like for Fox to cut Tucker loose, probably really, we know it hurt. Look at what happened to the stock. But for CNN to get rid of Don Lemon, from a business standpoint, if the ratings were bad, then probably no big deal. Let's just cut him loose. He's more trouble than he's worth.
Yup, I agree with that. I think the Don Lemon story has been written. It's over. It's done. On the other hand, I think we're going to find out a lot more on the Tucker Carlson side of things.
Oh, yeah.
I really think when these two lawsuits, when the evidence comes out, we're going to be like, "Hoo boy." Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to be up at the level of Roger Ailes, because nothing is going to touch that. That was a train wreck.
Yes. Yeah, there's quite a few people who've been pushed out the door at Fox over the years.
I don't think it will be nowhere near Roger Ailes, but I think what will be like is, okay, well, that was justified.
Mm-hmm. Hey, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Matt.
Well, I just, before we run out of time, because it's already approaching the top of the hour, but I just wanted to ask you quickly, any thoughts on the latest twist in Steven Crowder versus Candace Owens? This thing has gotten pretty wild. He's publicly accusing her of extortion, and now she's publicly threatening to sue him for defamation for accusing her of extortion. And it's just a lot of fun to watch this particular drama.
No, you know what? Here's what I will say.
Yeah.
You know who I feel bad for?
Who?
In this situation? The judge that has to sort this out.
If it gets that far.
Because he's going to be like, what? Like, those two, this is the equivalent of, I know you are, but what am I?
Yeah. It's just incredible.
Like neither one of you have a case.
And by the way, for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, obviously everyone knows Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson because they, big media, corporate media, everyone knows them. Steven Crowder, Candace Owens, more online media personalities. But I would just say to anyone, if you don't know what we're talking about, please just go on YouTube. Again, not right now. Wait till after the show. Just go on YouTube and type in Steven Crowder, Candace Owens, and hit search. I promise you will be entertained. This stuff is crazy. And although I will just say this, so it turns out what Candace Owens was hinting about Steven Crowder going through a hard time, and she may or may not say more. It turns out it has to do with his divorce. I thought it was something else. I thought, maybe, maybe he was hiding something, because the way she hinted at it, I thought maybe it had something to do with his sexuality, but apparently it's all about his divorce and, big deal. I mean, people get divorced, but I guess she thought that, it would be very embarrassing
Don't ever
to him.
come into conservatives' divorce, Matt.
Well, yeah, I get. Oh, and apparently in Texas, it's very easy to get a divorce, much to Steven Crowder's chagrin. But it's just
What legal aspect isn't easy in Texas? Let's be honest.
yeah,
here.
I guess. Well, in some states, but Texas is a very conservative state, and in some conservative states, they try to make getting a divorce. I mean, I used to be when I was a co-host on Rock Paper Hand Grenades, which was a conservative show. I was kind of the fly in the ointment there, but. Gary Hopper, God rest his soul, he passed away not long ago. He was the host, but he was actually trying to make it harder to get a divorce in New Hampshire. He wanted to make it more difficult because he thought people took divorce too lightly. And there are states where they do make it more difficult than in Texas, but apparently in Texas it's very easy.
In Iowa, unless both people sign a document saying that it will not help, you have to go through couples counseling before it'll be granted.
Yeah. Apparently, it's like that in a number of states. They give you some hoops to jump through, and apparently in Texas that is not the case. So, poor Steven Crowder.
Yeah. Okay. World's smallest violin for Steven Crowder. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Oh, and Dan Bongino.
I'm literally sitting here.
And your boy,
crying tears.
Your boy,
my boy.
Your boy Dan Bongino. Do you know why he's out? Any news on that?
No. What I'm thinking is that his contract was up for renegotiation.
Yeah.
And it's probably something as simple as Dan thought he was worth more than what he was worth.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't come to an agreement.
He'll be fine. He can do his show on Rumble, and he'll probably have millions of viewers. It won't matter.
Or maybe Glenn Beck will write a masterful crying plea for him to join the Blaze.
Yes, like he did for Tucker. Yeah. That's
Did you read that?
Oh yeah.
I read that several times, and I'm just like, wow. There are so many psychological games being played with that statement. There's martyrdom.
Oh yeah.
There's victimization. There's gaslighting.
Yeah, I know.
Any reputable therapist would have a field day with that 3-paragraph post.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
I was just like, are you kidding me?
I know. It's good stuff. Maybe he'll end up there. Who knows? Eric, we got to let you go. I've enjoyed this tremendously, as we always do, and looking forward to Friday's film review. I got to get to this segment, but we've got a musical guest Skyping in shortly. But thank you, my friend. This has been wonderful as always.
Thank you for having me. It was a great discussion, and I always enjoy media drama. It's amazing.
Yes. It's the gift that always gives. All right, Eric Pilcher, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, you got it. Bye-bye. All right, that is Eric Pilcher from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And of course, he does the classic film review for us every Friday, and we love that. But we got to get to a quick break. Going to show some love to our amazing sponsors, and then we're going to play this track, Scars from Becoming Human. And then we're going to get the gentleman from Becoming Human on with us via Skype, and we'll have a conversation with him. And looking forward to getting to know him. And then we'll premiere the brand new single that just came out. But let's do this. So we're going to take a quick break, but we have plenty more to come today on Matt Connerton Unleashed. So stick around, and trying to get this commercial to load up here. And that's not working. Oh, I see what the problem is, this keyboard. Okay, here we go. Not All right. We'll talk to you all in a few minutes. Come on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, free dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry. Located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at queencitycabinetrynh.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Clemento's Pizzeria, family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria. For delivery, call 603-782-8450. Clemento's Pizzeria, the best pizza in town. 1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire. Best cocktails around. Come in as friends and leave as family.
This hour on WMNH is sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 5 Dartmouth Drive in Auburn. They serve all your business needs, including employee benefits planning, corporate design and business administration, investments and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. Their phone number is 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
WMNH, rip the knob off.
outline is made. The streets are humming so haunted.
Wow, what a great song that is. Scars from Becoming Human. And Jordan from Becoming Human should be joining us in just a moment via Skype. Or he might call if if Skype doesn't work out. Skype doesn't always work out, so we'll see. But we are live on Matt Connerton Unleashed from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Oh, here we go. All right, pull that up there. Jordan, is that you?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, you sound great. Welcome to the program.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. By the way, we've got a couple other people in studio with us, too. Texas Mike is here at the news desk. Hello, Mikey. Yeehaw! Yeah, Texas Mike, you've got a fellow Texan here, Jordan.
Oh, great. That's awesome. It's good to be in company of other Texas folks.
Absolutely. And Miriam Banish is here, too. Hello, Miriam.
Hi.
And Miriam, do me a favor. Can you use that other mic? You can pull that over. Yeah, that mic you're in front of sounds a little funky. So yeah, but Jordan, welcome. We just played "Scars" from Becoming Human, and this is now this is your band, but it's really not a band, right? You do everything on the tracks.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just me, and it's an entirely solo project.
Okay. Do you play all the instruments? Are you also a drummer, or is it electronic drums, or how does that work? What's the process like?
Yeah. So the drums are. So I compose everything like in other music programs. The drums are samples. They're like the best drum samples, I think, in the world.
Yeah.
So I use those, and but the guitar and bass is me. The vocals are all me. The only thing that I don't have is I used to play drums in high school, so I kind of have that understanding of how to, lay out a drum track and stuff like that. But it's for the most part it's all me.
I'm always impressed when I talk to artists who do the when they're not live drums but they're samples, and it sounds so good. It sounds like live acoustic drums. It's always impressive to me.
Yeah. It's this is something I actually took some recording classes a couple years ago, and I got to see some guys who are really high level, kind of peel back the curtain as far as like that kind of production goes. And he was like, you guys have no idea how much most songs nowadays don't even have a drummer anymore. It's all just programmed drums. It's like it was staggering. He would be like, do you think that's real? And I'd be like, yeah, it sounds real. He'd be like, yeah, it's drum track, or just tracked. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So that's kind of made me because I used to be against that like heavily when I was like years ago. I always wanted it to be live drummer and stuff. But now I'm just like, you know what? I'll just give it a try and see what happens, and I like it. So.
Yeah. No, it sounds great. And where do you record? Do you record at home? Do you do it all yourself, or do you have a producer that you work with, or how does that work?
Yeah, I do it all. It's just in my apartment in Austin, Texas, and I don't currently work with a producer at the moment. I do like to try to get like input from everybody when I'm writing these songs, because sometimes I think what a producer can do and kind of keep your ego out of the way a little bit of your writing, because you're like, oh, I want to do something that impresses nobody but me other musicians. And sometimes you got to have that person be like, hey, that doesn't make any sense, or like that doesn't sound that good. Just do it, like, simplify it a little bit. And
right.
That's kind of my process as far as that goes.
Yeah. Now, have you always done this on your own, or have you ever been in a band?
No. This is my first time doing it on my own. It's I was in a band called A Vintage Year for a long time. We started. I'm originally from Rochester, New York.
Oh, okay.
So we started there, and it was me, and it was basically like my friends from childhood, and a guy who was a singer we met. He was from Texas originally, and so I was just a guitar player, and we had a singer and a bass player. We were kind of like, let's try like doing like a Stone Temple Pilots or like a Puddle of Mud type thing, like 4-piece rock quartet. And yeah, we did that for years, and we split up, and I was like, man, like this kind of sucks, you know, because I wasn't a singer. I didn't consider myself to be one at the time, at least, but I really wanted to keep doing music. But I also didn't want, like, you know, a really prominent member of the band to be the reason why, like, I'm starting all over again. So
yeah,
this is my first. So now I just I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this my own project by myself, and see if that works out. And so far, it's pretty good. It is a lot of work, though. I'm like trying to balance that with my, you know, I'm also an executive chef at a hotel, so I'm also trying to balance wearing a lot of different hats.
Oh yeah, is that hard scheduling wise? Because it seems like executive chefs usually work. You know, that's not a 40-hour a week gig, right? You're there a lot more than that, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's all around the clock. Sometimes I'm there like at nighttime. Sometimes I get calls at like 4 a.m. like because there's a breakfast shift. So yeah, that's it's kind of like you said, it's not easy for like scheduling wise and stuff like that.
How did you end up in Texas? So did you move there with the other musician you were working with? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I moved there with a Vintage Year. My old singers from Houston originally. So we met him in Rochester because his wife was originally from Rochester.
Oh, okay.
So that's how we connected, and I remember, so, you know, Rochester winters they're really snowy. It's like that part of, like, it's like Lake Ontario, Lake Erie. You know, we get bombarded with snow every single year, and I asked my old singer, I'm like, hey, what is Texas like? Is that a cool place to like be a musician? And he's like, yeah, it's nice, and the weather's better, so that was like the main driving force and we also were like, you know, Rochester is a cool music city, but we wanted to see if maybe like a bigger market would make a difference.
Yeah,
which it definitely didn't. But
yeah, no doubt. Where in Texas are you? Are you in Austin?
I'm in Austin. Yeah,
it is Austin. Okay. Yeah. We've had a lot of musicians on the show from Texas, and it does seem like it's a pretty vibrant music scene there. Austin is obviously known for music, and we've also had guests on from the Dallas Fort Worth area recently, and it seems like there's a lot going on there. How was the adjustment when you got there?
It was different. Yeah, like it was like. So one thing I noticed about Austin right off the bat was it's a lot of cover bands.
Oh, okay.
So we moved here like needing a bass player, and it was weird because like we would reach out to a bassist who was interested, and then he'd be like, oh, like I just want to do covers, and we were like, that to me was like really strange because Rochester is kind of an artsy like scene.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of original music there. I mean, it's not all good, but it's a lot of original stuff.
Sure.
So that was kind of a big adjustment. And that's probably one of the main driving forces behind me. Like, okay, let me just like have like if I'm in control of all of it, like, you know, it's good. If it fails, it's my fault. You know what I mean? I can't like, yeah. So it was that. So that was kind of like the biggest adjustment was like band members finding musicians and stuff like that. They are there. They do exist. It's just like going about finding a musician for your original band is a little bit different.
Yeah. Now, so when that band ended, the Vintage Year, did you make you had to make a decision, right? So obviously you decided to stay. Did you consider coming back up to New York or after that, or?
No. No, I still thought, like, I was like, you know what? Like, I think there's a lot here that I haven't tapped into quite yet.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, and I, met my girlfriend, and she's wonderful. So, yeah, so there's no real reason for me to, like, ever go back to New York.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. How long have you been there? How long have you been in Texas?
I moved here in 2017, like September of 2017. So about almost 6 years, 5.5 years.
Okay. You're by now you're used to the hot summer and.
Yeah, definitely. It's I actually prefer the hot summer over the wild snowy winters.
I bet. I can imagine.
Yeah.
No doubt. So you've got, by the way, Jenny, as I'm sure you know, and I'm sure you've seen her comments, she's also become a very big fan. She loves your sound.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. She's very nice. She's been very complimentary.
Yeah. You do have a great sound. Who are you influenced by, as far as, your music?
I'm mostly like, so a lot of like the 90s, like rock, alt rock and grunge scene is pretty big for me. Like that's kind of like the thing that in like most of my, like if you go back, you can find a lot of like, oh yeah, that sounds like this, or so like Nirvana was like the first love of music for me. Like that was just kind of like, they were the band that like when I first heard them, they absolutely like floored me in like this crazy way that made me want to become a musician and made me want to like do the whole music thing. So they're like number one, like Nirvana, like also like the Beatles, Bush is a big one too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like a lot of the like rock from the early 2000s. Like I love Chevelle and like Cold and Linkin Park and stuff like that. But yeah, it's mostly like Nirvana.
Okay. So you've got, in a couple of minutes, we're going to play the new single, Our World, which is really good. And you did something with this. So it's interesting, and I'm sure you hear this from everybody who listens to the song, and all of our listeners will hear it when I play it. But so when you start the song, it sounds like it's a bad recording, and then it gradually gets better.
Hits you at that low end.
Yeah, and that's a really cool. I've never heard anyone do that before. That's a really cool effect. Like,
really?
Yeah. Because when I first listened to it, Jenny played it on the computer.
But this sucks. What is this?
Right. I was like, did somebody send us their bad demo? It sounds like it sounds like an old cassette that's been water damaged. What's going on here? But then it I shouldn't even say gradually. It's pretty quickly that the quality improves, and then it's normal. But that's a really cool effect.
That's kind of a trick, like a production trick. So like they say, like without quiet, there's no loud, right?
Mm-hmm,
so like I really wanted the low end, like the bass and the kick, to really kind of kick you in the chest when that first starts.
Yeah.
So the best way to do that is to just suck it, like take it away for a second, like take it away, get you used to hearing it that way.
Yeah.
And then like letting it just boot you in the chest when it finally kicks in. I sent that. I showed that to one of my buddies too, and he was like, "Dude, he's like, that's really cool, man." And I think I did do a couple. Like, I have a couple plugins to make it sound like it's a cassette, like a really worn down cassette and stuff like that. A little EQ trick and stuff here and there. But yeah, that was pretty much the idea.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I love it.
Thank you.
Now, what's your long-term trajectory? Are you going to keep releasing singles, or do you have plans for an EP or a full album, or what's the plan?
Yeah, so I'm going to I think I'm going to release one more and take a break because I need to start making more songs, because like a lot of these songs I've started over a year ago, and I've been releasing them. And now I'm out of songs.
Yeah.
So I got to go back and write. And I you know what? I think I'll do an EP, full length. I can do since I don't have to really pay for recording or like studio.
Yeah.
That kind of saves a lot of money for like doing stuff like that. Like I can do an album if I want to, or
right.
And also merch. I have money for merch and stuff, like to buy merch, which definitely
there you go.
That's kind of like that keeps the whole thing afloat, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, where does the name come from? Does the name have any special meaning to you? Becoming Human?
Yeah, for sure. So it's funny, like I always kind of felt like the past maybe 10 years have been like me becoming human, kind of like feeling like I grew up like like everybody, we all struggle. We have our our demons and our past traumas and stuff like that, and you don't realize when you what you're doing damages you and maybe the other people around you, and you kind of don't really start to realize that until you're older, and it starts affecting like your professional life and your maybe your personal relationships and stuff like that. So becoming human is kind of like the healing process of like, okay, I I know I don't want to be like a monster anymore. Basically, like I want to be like a human. Which basically, like all the subject matter of my songs are about like mental health and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like that. I definitely get that vibe from it. By the way, our friend Melanie La Liberty in the chat room, she was saying, you were talking about your girlfriend earlier and your relationship, and she said in the chat, I bet his girlfriend is sitting right next to him. Tell him to blink if he needs help.
Yeah, she's got the gun right in my rib cage right now.
Well, they don't fool around in Texas, huh?
Oh no, you can go. Yeah, they got like stores. You walk like it's like they got a store called Academy where it's like Dick's. It's basically like gun, just wall to wall guns. It's pretty cool.
Right. Oh, okay. Yes.
If you're like, if you're into that, it's pretty sick. But yeah.
Right. Very good. And is there anything else you want to tell us about? We'll let you go in a minute, Jordan, and we're going to play this track, Our World, which is, like I said, really good. But is there anything else you want us to know about this song specifically?
Actually, I did want to say that I actually haven't released this yet. You guys are premiering it, which is pretty funny. It's actually coming out on the 30th. So I'm literally like right now I'm working on like a lyric video to like, cause I'm like trying to, cause I've been really busy. So I'm trying to cram all this in, but yeah, it's premiering right now. Our World is kind of like, the whole idea is basically like, if you really want something, you can get it. Like you can get up and go out and take it and that's basically the whole point of the song.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. And so this is a world radio premiere. We love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Truly.
For sure. Yeah.
And one other thing too, of course, we want to make sure before you go that everyone knows where to find you, where to keep up with everything that you're doing in terms of music online. What should people know?
Yeah. So I'm working on a website right now.
Okay.
Which is, it should be becominghumanatx.com. It's not up yet, but I'm getting there.
Okay.
But everywhere else, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Becoming Human ATX, you can find me. You can find me there. And on there, you'll be able to find links to merch stores. I have a shirt for sale. It's pretty kind of it's got a cute little monster guy on it. It says Becoming Human, Austin, Texas. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Outstanding. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to let you go, and we're going to get to the world radio premiere of Our World from Becoming Human. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But we'll do this again as you release new music. We'd love to have you back on to talk about it.
Yeah,
so
that'd be great.
Absolutely. No, Jenny and I are fans. And yes, thank you for joining us today, my friend, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, that was Jordan from Becoming Human. We're going to listen to this. This is the world radio premiere of the track Our World. And then we'll come back. And as I mentioned, we've got Texas Mike and Miriam Banish here. And John Hopwood is also here with us in studio now as well. So we'll see what kind of trouble we can get into in the last half hour of the show. But here it is, the world radio premiere. This is Our World from Becoming Human. down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, free dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry, located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at queencitycabinetrynh.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Clemento's Pizzeria, family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria. For delivery, call 603-782-8450. Clemento's Pizzeria, the best pizza in town. 1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire. Best cocktails around. Come in as friends and leave as family.
This hour on WMNH is sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 5 Dartmouth Drive in Auburn. They serve all your business needs, including employee benefits planning, corporate design and business administration, investments and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. Their phone number is 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
WMNH, rip the knob off.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Matt Connerton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, as we cruise into our final segment today. Of course, also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is Wednesday, April 26, 2023, and I have some luminaries in studio here.
If you're gonna play in Texas, you gotta have a fiddle in the band. That lead guitar is hot, but not for Louisiana man. So rosin up that bowl for faded love and let's all dance. If you're gonna play in Texas, you gotta have a fiddle in the band.
Yeehaw! Texas Mike is here.
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw! Texas Mike, welcome, sir.
Thank you.
And that's not all. See, it's like wrestling. Everyone has entrance music. John Hopwood is here.
Howdy.
Oh, wow. You sound like you're from Texas.
I was stationed in Texas, and I lived in Texas enough to know that the state sucks.
Oh, not a fan of Texas. Careful now. Texas Mike brought his branding iron.
The first place I ever saw that a drive-through liquor store. There's something to be said for Texas.
Certainly, yes.
And the women were cool, too. They were very aggressive. Who wants to date a milk soft, Although nowadays I'd take anything.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Even a chatbot.
All right. Yes. And joining us in the corner, hanging out with the giant cardboard Peter Whitehead, Miriam Banish is here.
Hi.
Miriam doesn't have entrance music yet because she's... this is probably only, your third
Yeah,
time, fourth time on the show?
Fourth time,
Yeah,
yeah.
yes. Were you on Mr. Opwood's television program earlier?
Yes.
And why do you answer that hesitantly? Are you afraid that there's something incriminating?
No, I think I just forgot that you were talking to me. I don't know.
That's okay.
I'm a little clueless,
Well,
I don't do this radio, TV stuff too often.
Right. It's a little, yes. By the way, Melanie La Liberty from the great state of Vermont says in the chat room, "Hey, Miriam Banish, can you show Hopwood something shiny when he tries to make a point? The distraction works every time."
I have anything shiny.
I never liked you, Melanie.
Oh, that's not true.
It is.
That's not true.
We agreed to feud.
Oh, you're feuding. No, I don't mean
Yes.
to. Okay.
They agreed to feud.
Yeah, it's always better to tell the person you're going to feud with them.
Yes, of course. Yes. I was thinking of you, John, actually. So, no, not that way. Don't get excited. No, but
why? You have a chatbot girlfriend too?
Now John and I are going to be feuding. Well, actually, we did feud many years ago.
That's true.
And there was a tacit agreement. I just assumed you'd think it was funny, and you did. No. By the way, Melanie says, "You love me." Such a liar, Melanie.
I voted for you, but I want to take my votes back.
You're not feuding, Melanie. Please, no. You have to feud. No, I thought of you because I don't know if you're familiar with Steven Crowder, online conservative media personality.
No, I'm not.
But he had a bitter breakup with one of his co-hosts, Dave Landau. And apparently, when Dave Landau was on the show with Steven Crowder, which is now on Rumble, they had in studio they had a light up sign that sometimes when Steven Crowder was ranting and he didn't want to be interrupted, he would push this button and the sign would light up over Dave Landau's head that said, "Don't talk, Dave." And apparently Landau felt very insulted by this, but
the only way you can get me not to talk is to not talk yourself.
Right. Yes, that is true. That is true. It's an interesting phenomenon on the show. If I ever have a technical issue that I'm trying to solve and John's here, so I'm distracted and I need him to talk, he clams right up.
Well, I'm like a beaver. Beavers go to the sound of water and use their tails to pack mud.
Uh-huh.
So, when I hear a voice, I start packing mud.
Oh, well, we don't. Okay, that's definitely a discussion for the other show. Let's see. So what did you do on your television show today? And is it still WPYP or is it Ward 13?
We were Ward 13 with John Hopwood today.
Yes, we were.
Oh,
next week is going to be just WPYP presents Candidates Day, but they're local municipal candidates, so we won't mention them.
Right. Well, but what did you do today, Mikey and Miriam? I assume we're both on.
Mikey, why don't you explain?
We had a serious discussion about special needs and special education and how sometimes the system sucks for people.
Uh-huh.
And Miriam?
Talked about being a paraprofessional and what that means. And
tell us what that means, please.
Paraprofessional is somebody who helps a student in the classroom, or it could be in a separate room to access the curriculum. It's a thing that it comes through the IEP. An IEP is an individual education program, individualized education program, and it's a legal document, and in that document, it might say one-on-one para for this number of days or this number of hours, or it might say shared para for this number of days. And so then they hire paraprofessionals to fill those positions, and it's actually a federal law that they need to have.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That person.
It's a federal right for disabled students.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Very good.
And then we talked about autism, too.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't realize that affected boys a far greater degree than girls. But
I didn't know
Miriam, you told us why.
Well, It
Girls-
shows up. It's a little bit different in girls,
Girls.
so I think it's harder for it to be diagnosed in girls, and so I think it might actually be that it will balance out once we get the hang of diagnosing it. But
So you think there may be more girls with autism than we know about just because they're
it's
not
harder to diagnose. It's
Why do you think it's harder to diagnose in girls? Any theory?
I don't
Any
know.
idea? Yeah.
There has been a theory that somehow girls, they're hanging out with other girls, and other girls have tendency to kind of help them more than maybe when boys have it. I don't know.
Interesting.
That's just a theory that I read somewhere, and I don't even remember where now.
Yeah.
But I think that it's maybe partly, I don't know what it is. Socialization, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how it's different or why it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, my observation is that it doesn't seem to be that different. My understanding is that the reason that it's diagnosed in girls less often than in boys may have something to do with it. It just appears different in girls, at least in the beginning. So.
Okay.
Autism, there's a lot of unknowns.
Well, there's a lot
It
of
is.
There's
I
a lot
mean,
of misunderstandings about it too, right? I mean,
Yeah, there's so many differences. You've seen one, if you see a kid with autism, you've seen one kid with autism. There's so many ways that the kids differ. But autism usually has certain features that all make up the diagnosis. So there will be communication difficulties, maybe sensory processing difficulties.
Miriam, can you
language delays?
Yeah, we got to get that. Yeah,
Sorry.
there you go.
You haven't had any
communication, language
drunks
delays.
in here lately. Oh.
Not lately. No.
Bashing things up.
No, not
have
not
my-
lately. No.
I should have I should have a book out to read all of the different features of autism. But I think a lot of times parents will notice a child isn't talking when they would expect them to talk.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't interact, maybe they don't make eye contact, or they're doing repetitive behaviors. Those are kind of early indicators that a child might have autism.
I was going to say, I've always heard that one of the first clues very early that's easy to spot is when you have a child who, they get to that age where they start talking, where they start interacting verbally, not saying words, obviously, but just vocalizing. And that, so if you have a child who's just not doing that for whatever reason, that's usually a pretty good clue that there may be autism.
There may be something going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, my son is on the autism spectrum, but he was very, very verbal. But he didn't use language to communicate. When he was really little, he would talk about the birds in the trees. Oh, there's birdies in the trees, or do you hear that train, in this kind of sing-songy voice. But he couldn't ask for a glass of water, so he would have a tantrum because he needed a drink of water.
Interesting.
So, but that's just him.
Yeah.
Another kid would show it in a completely different way.
Melanie in the chat room says, so happy you guys are talking about this. Miriam, how do you feel about ABA-based supports?
Oh, boy.
And you'll have to, if you can give us a Cliff Notes explanation of what that is, because I have no idea what that is.
ABA is Applied Behavioral Analysis, and there are a lot of people. Right now, it's very controversial. There have been people who have grown up having had applied behavior analysis used with them, and it traumatized them.
Really?
So
what does it
if
entail?
there's somebody is
Yeah.
oh boy,
It's the first I've heard of it.
right.
Yeah.
It's
It's the first I've heard of it. With our show, I've learned a lot
right.
from
It comes from
you and the
this
guest.
is going to go into a big psychology thing, but it comes from B.F. Skinner.
conditioning.
Conditioning, right? So it's a type of conditioning where you're pairing
Stimulus and a response.
right. You want to increase a behavior, so you have a reinforcer, and you have to study in advance what's a thing that might be likely to increase the behavior. It isn't a reward system. It's a what is going to increase the behavior.
Okay.
Often it may look like a reward. And it is used, and it is used at the school. I feel like it can be used responsibly, but A lot of people don't want to hear that from me, so I'm very careful not to.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little scary. I've been in big trouble with people for having even mentioned applied behavioral analysis.
Right, because it gives you the Clockwork Orange and the Ludvico technique.
Right, which is that's a
but
completely different thing altogether. But
you know the thing about conditioning behavior.
Right.
And but it touches on people's fears.
I think so. And but there are people I think who may have been traumatized. I've seen it used badly, you know, and I think that there are maybe ways to do it humanely, but right now it's just too hot and controversial.
Miriam, does that include like the behavior where they with the lights going into your eyes?
No.
Oh, that's something different.
So this
therapy.
is some more like okay, so you want to target a particular behavior. So what would be a behavior that would
head
be
rolling? Isn't head rolling something in autism, or is that?
Yeah, but they don't. They're really sort of stepping away from they're not
physical.
They're not trying to get kids to stop doing the STEM things that they do. Right? They flap their hands, they roll their heads, whatever they do. Those kinds of things are really helpful to kids with autism. Because they're dealing with sensory things, but things that are much more sort of practical, like I'm trying to think what would be a good example of it.
Biting.
You definitely want to not have a kid biting,
right?
So you know, how can you want to come up with maybe a different behavior that you want them to do instead of biting, you know, and a lot of them will have, if they are nonverbal, they'll have communication devices. So you might want to encourage them to use their communication device. So you'd pair it with something, you know, that would maybe make them feel good. We don't really do that.
By the way, Melanie says in the chat, I agree with you. It's a tool available, but right now it seems like that is a go-to therapy in schools right now.
And part of that is because there's evidence. It's sort of evidence-based. It's empirical.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think it's because there's science behind it. It's just that when it's been used, sometimes it really is used in, I think, bad ways. Hopefully that's what...
If you're using it at a university with PhDs and stuff, when it trickles down to some... school district, the people might not be as conversant in the techniques or as well trained or have the financial and the resources to make it work.
I did have coursework in applied behavioral analysis, but what I did was we worked with rats and we also made a program for ourselves. We want, you know, like for me personally, it was how do I increase my house cleaning behavior. Yeah. And so I said, well, maybe if my husband would rub my feet, then I would, you know, like if I do this behavior and I get my feet rubbed, maybe that would make me, you know, do more housework. So I actually set up a whole program for myself where we did this. And yes, indeed, I did do more housework. So, you know, instead of working with human beings, so we worked with rats. They're not even doing work with rats now. Usually people are encouraged to find a friend who has a pet, or you use your pet for, you know, just to learn how to do the technique. And so with a rat, you're trying to get the rat to press a lever. It's boring, but if they press the lever, they get some food.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of the whole thing that I did a really long time ago.
603-250-6007 is a studio line if you'd like to chime in on anything. 603-250-6007. Melanie says in the chat, evidence-based. Hey, if you hold me down for an hour, I might take off my jacket when expected. I'm using a worst-case scenario, but it is also a real-life example.
Oh, I don't know that real-life example, but hopefully, I mean, nobody's using negative. Nobody should be using anything negative in these situations.
Yeah.
So if you take your coat off and then you get to listen to some music that you like, you know, that would be kind of an example of every single time you do this behavior, you get that piece of music that you really like. Yeah. That's kind of more, I don't know if that makes sense.
It's almost like being newlyweds. but we won't go into that.
Oh dear.
That
Because,
might be for the other show. Yeah. Matt Connerton Unsheathed, of course. There's a YouTuber I like. His name is Vosh, and I don't agree with him politically necessarily on a lot of things, but I just find him interesting. And he had posted a video. It was titled something like "What is masking and why I refuse to do it, or why I don't do it." And when I saw the title of the video, because we live in a time where I hear masking, I think, well, wait a minute, he's not an anti-masker. He takes COVID very seriously. What is he talking about? So I play the video, and it turns out, and he explains what masking is. And I didn't know that Vosh was autistic. I would not have guessed that from his videos where he discusses politics and current events and whatnot. But yeah, he talks about the way he explains it is masking is when you're autistic, but you try to mask your autism by behaving in ways that you think you are expected to behave. You're not
right,
sure
you're sort of
why,
suppressing whatever it is.
Yeah. Trying to fit in, which I guess people do anyway in a broader sense. But from the point of someone who's autism, it's trying to actually hide the autism and fit in a way that you think that you're expected to, so that maybe people won't know that you're autistic, or maybe they'll just accept you more, even knowing that you're autistic. Or I can't explain it as eloquently as he did, obviously.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm hoping we're kind of getting away from people having to do that.
Yeah.
Because really we want to encourage people to just be themselves, as long as they're not, hitting and biting and,
Right. Yeah.
running down the train tracks or something.
Yeah.
Which mostly isn't, a thing, but.
Right. Yeah, but it's interesting because it's in a sense he talks about how he refuses to do it, but then I kind of wonder though, well, maybe that's easy for him to say, because he's not someone who I would have suspected was autistic to begin with. So because can you talk about that? That's something that's interesting to me. There's a spectrum, right? There's an autism spectrum. So can you talk about that a little bit? Because it's something I've always been curious about.
Yes. So there's just different ways that it presents. Some people are nonverbal. Some people move around a lot. They may do repetitive behaviors, flap hands, or they may vocalize. They may make a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And so, and then there's people who they may have trouble initiating conversation, or they may only talk about like whatever special interest they have, and it won't be as obvious.
Mm-hmm.
You'll just say, well, that's a person that's, a little bit different, but you might not know that it's autism.
Yeah.
That they're shy.
They might be shy, or they just might be a little different. I mean, when I was a kid, this is a horrible thing to say, but when I was a kid, we didn't have the same diagnoses, and it would be just like, that's that weird kid.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, there were worse words than that.
Or worse words than that.
Yeah.
And thinking back a lot, I think about people that I grew up with, and I think, I wonder if that person was on the spectrum. I wonder if that person, but it's very subtle with some people, and then very much not as subtle with other people.
But then I wonder, with someone with whom it's very subtle, how do you determine
determine that they're autistic on one hand and how to treat them on the other?
Well, actually, I was thinking more, how do you determine that they're autistic and not just different? I mean, because if there's a difference between being autistic and just being different, like if there's a difference between being autistic but also being a little bit socially awkward, how do you determine if someone's autistic or they're just socially awkward?
In the 90s, there was all this speculation about people like Michelangelo and other artists and writers.
Mozart was another
being autistic because, a person like a Beethoven, they're going to squirrel themselves away, and they're there with the piano.
Right.
And Beethoven was notoriously antisocial. Like, he'd be in a principality, and the prince would come by, and he'd just put his arm, everybody's bowing, and he'd just cross his arms, and he'd walk right in front of him. He's famous for that type of activity.
Yeah.
He's a person, like artists, and visual artists is different than a writer, I think. I lived with a painter once, and she had a completely different consciousness, I'd put it. But you exist in your head
Mhm.
in a way, and you exist in a cocoon in a way, or else you aren't going to be able to create your art.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was all this speculation, everybody likes to have all, speculate about who was this, who
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
There early on there's signs, and then people will, the parents will take the kids for evaluations. There's a manual called the DSM. I think it's DSM 5.
DSM-5 now.
5 now. And so it has all of the features of autism in there, and the doctors know those and use those. And there's
and the billing
evaluations
codes, and the billing codes for the
codes.
insurance company,
Of course.
Right. And, so, and there's benefit of getting the diagnosis.
That's what we're
because
talking
in
about.
school,
The earlier the diagnosis,
the earlier the diagnosis, the
intervention.
better. And I mean, if you get a diagnosis and it turns out that it's incorrect, you get early intervention, and it doesn't do any harm to do some early intervention, like to get them going to school and
Sure.
having some help, and and then you can kind of further evaluate as you go along. So it's going to be up to somebody who has the skill and the qualifications to be able to make the determination. So, I mean, you can't tell by looking at somebody.
Yeah, yeah, of
They've
course.
got
Of course, yeah.
It's not like Yeti,
Well, we're all the same.
Eyeball to eyeball.
Right, right. Yes. Well, we are almost out of time.
Gosh, we took up all this time.
No, that's okay.
My
Well,
stuff.
these
I hope I said everything right, though. It's a little scary because
Sure, sure.
this is the thing I do for a job, and I'm not really qualified to sort of make diagnoses or anything like that. And
No, but you explained
hopefully hopefully I educated anyway.
No, it's a subject I've always been interested in. So this was kind of a spontaneous discussion, but I'm glad that it happened. And I would encourage you. Obviously, you spent some time on this too on John's show. So I'd encourage people to. You're always bashful about plugging your show, but I think you should plug your show so that people. It'll be
Mikey, why don't you plug it?
Or Mikey can plug it. But if people are interested in the subject, they should check out your show this week, Ward 13. It was Ward 13 this week, right?
Ward 13
Yes.
with John Ward 13 with John Hopwood on YouTube on IPM Nation on YouTube.
No, if you want a cause, have them send you a copy.
Yeah, Brendan stopped sending me the shows a long time ago. I'm not sure why.
Okay, so it'll be on John Hopwood's personal
YouTube.
YouTube channel.
And we'll get a copy to IPM Nation.
Yeah, I'd
but we
like to-
plan on doing more shows in the future.
Yep.
Good,
It's a
good.
big subject.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. Just a quick question in the Facebook live chat. Rick Smith is asking, do people with autism have a shorter lifespan? I've never heard that. No.
I don't
okay.
believe so.
Yeah, yeah. And Melanie says, love you, Miriam.
Love you back.
Absolutely. Very good.
It's National Pretzel Day, so go to the Hop Knot.
I didn't even know that.
It's National what day?
Pretzel Day.
I talked to Kenny earlier. He didn't even mention it to me.
Oh, wow.
So it's National Pretzel Day, so I'm going to Hop Knot after this and
I
get
didn't.
The
myself
beer's
a pretzel.
free?
What?
The pretzels are free?
No,
The
but
beer's free?
no.
Why isn't there ever like a National Free Beer Day?
We're capitalists around here, John. We're capitalists.
Well, I'm an old Bolshevik.
I know.
Although I'm wearing blue suede shoes.
Well, I have a special song I'm going to have to play then. Yes, the Hop Knot are...
Chatbot doll?
No, I'm going to play Do the Pretzel by the Wiggles.
Ooh.
But of course...
I don't know that song.
Oh, yes. Well, you're going to know it now. And of course, yes, the Hop Knot, our amazing sponsor in the Brady Sullivan at 1000 Elm Street. By the way, trivia is back. It is now hosted by Broderick Lang on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. And of course, they have live music on Saturday nights and lots going on there. The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan at 1000 Elm Street. Please pay them a visit. Mikey, thank you. Texas Mike. And
Thank you.
Thank you, John Hopwood. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you, Miriam
Thank
Banish.
you.
Wonderful to see you all. And if you missed any part of today's show, it'll be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org and at my website, mattconnerton.com. Thank you again to Eric Pilcher for a great discussion in the first hour of the show. And of course, Jordan from Becoming Human, our musical guest today. Really enjoyed that. Oh, and quickly, too, tomorrow on the show, we have an in-studio musical guest. Peter Pappas will be joining us. And apparently, Peter Pappas, I found out from Peter White, was Peter White's biology teacher in high school and used to be in the band Head Shop with Don T. Tibbetts. So I feel like...
Does he work at the Puritan?
Is he related to
I
Chris?
don't think
Chris
so.
Pappas?
I think a different spelling of the last name. That
How
does-
can you spell Pappas different ways?
I think-
Pappas.
Doesn't Chris Pappas spell it with one P or is it two?
3 P's.
Well, three P's.
3 P's.
Okay.
It's like, you 2 T Yetis.
It seems like a common name around here. Lots of Pappases.
Of course it is.
But they-
because it's Papadabaklis.
Oh, and then it got changed.
If I
to-
didn't have a dyslexia, I could probably pronounce the word.
Oh.
Yeah.
Next time we'll talk about dyslexia.
Can we talk about? Yes.
Okay. Very good.
I can see the my song "Chatbot Dolls" going nowhere. Unless Miriam, you come and you'll sing it with me.
Yeah, I'll sing it with you.
By the
We
way,
need a chorus.
JFed in the chat room says Pappas, Mr. Pappas was his biology teacher as well. And Jenny says
And he
excellent
makes-
show. Thank you.
And he also makes a hell of a chicken finger.
There you go.
All right, we got to go. Talking to y'all a little bit later. Bye, everybody. Happy Pretzel Day.
Pretzel.